The censored and the hidden can grow enormous in the mind of a 9-year-old boy. Consider my Christmas 50 years ago. That was the Christmas I got as one of my presents, a book by my favorite author, Dr. Seuss, Yertle the Turtle. It was a big, gleaming, green, colorful hardback book. It was beautiful, and I was very happy to carry it with me the next morning when my mother, my grandmother, and I traveled from Queens to Manhattan by bus and subway to see the Christmas lights and sights and store windows. We got to Penn Station, and I encountered this strange, large, metallic contraption. It was gleaming and rounded and very modern looking. It looked like a space capsule, and the sign read, "Record your own voice directly onto record." I had never heard my own voice before. It was the days before cassette recording machines, and I was very excited, and I said, "Oh, Mommy, let me record my own voice." And she said, "Sure." And so I walked from this busy, loud, enormous train station to this tiny metallic cubicle. And it was totally soundproof. It was a vault. It was as big as a closet, and it was airless, and it made me feel secure and nervous all at once. The green light came on, and I recited Yertle the Turtle. Well, afterward, the record came out of a slot, and we expected a grooved side and then a shiny blank side. But there were grooves on both sides. It looked identical. "How peculiar," my mother said. As soon as I got home, I rushed to the living room phonograph, put on the record, and there was my voice, sounding all high and weird and strange and kind of cracky. And my mother said, "Oh, your voice sounds fine, and you read beautifully. I'm really proud of you." And then we turned the record over and played the other side. And it wasn't Yertle the Turtle. It wasn't my voice. It was the voice of a scary, grumbling, growling man. "Ooh, baby, ooh, baby," it said. Each baby got lower as if it was trying to dig a hole for itself. "Baby, what I'm gonna do to you." And then he said a few more words which I didn't understand, and my mother shot up, panic-stricken. She was all nervous. She shot across the room as if it was on fire, and her arm went to the tone arm, and she ripped it off the record with an enormous screech and turned to my father and said, "I don't know who the man is, but he's talking dirty. It's dirty talk, Sid." She made me go to my room and close the door. I put my ear to the door, and I heard the man's voice for about a minute, and my parents listening, and then I heard nothing, silence. And finally, my mother said, "It's okay to come back in now." She said, "The man was talking dirty, but I removed him from the record." What she did was she took a kitchen knife and gouged him out of the record by scraping. She said, "He was talking dirty, but it's okay, it's fine, you have nothing to worry about." But as I say, the censored and the hidden can grow enormous in the mind of a 9-year-old boy, especially late at night when sleep is slow in coming. I had nightmares about that man from the other side of the record for 2 solid weeks. He was a monster, a ghoul, a ghost made of seething, venomous smoke. By day, my thoughts were more rational. For instance, I wondered, why didn't he get his record dispensed as normal? I mean, did he lose his money? And did it not get dispensed because it was too dirty? And how did the machine know that? And who is this baby he talks about so much? And why, and this was the big question, why was my mother so nervous? Why was she so scared out of her wits, more scared than I've ever seen her? Well, 50 years later, I now know. Because a suburban home was like a bastion. Nothing got through its gates. There was no pornography, there was no internet, there was no cable television. Everything was pure as Christmas snow. And to have that situation, that purity, where nothing got through without parental permission, all of a sudden a man who's talking dirty on the other side of a record, through some incredible technical glitch of mysterious circumstances, of course it was overwhelming. It was fantastically horrifying to my mother. It was like a germ, a disease, an illness. A polio had come through to her house. 6 years later, my voice has changed. I now have a deep voice. As I walk home from school, I'm taken to singing rock and pop songs as I walk along. And I was singing this Motown song to myself, baby, baby, oh baby. And all of a sudden, I remembered that man from the other side of the record for the first time in 6 years. Except now, his voice was bleached of shadows. It was robbed of menace. It was just an ordinary voice in my memory. And I thought to myself, well, that man wasn't a monster. And maybe he was a prankster. Who knows how he got on the record? Maybe he worked in the factory where the record machine was made. But there was nothing really venomous about him. He was horny. He was a trickster. He was foul-mouthed. But he was just a schlub. He was a lug. He was just some guy. It wasn't anything to be frightened of. And maybe there are lots of things in life to be frightened of. But perhaps sex isn't one of them.